Catherine, it is such a pleasure to have you today. How are you doing?
I am awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Mariza. We're coast to coast. I'm in Miami and you're in the San Diego area. So
Here we are,
we're
70-degree
broadcasting
weather.
live to all of anyone on this global journey or interterrestrial journey that we're
I
on.
love it. The first thing I want to just celebrate out the gate, I was doing research on you, which was so fun. One of the things, and at the time I didn't know your age or anything like that, but that you had just gotten a PhD. But I would love for you to share that journey because I think any of us who decide at any point in time to go and get a PhD is pretty spectacular, but also doing it in postmenopause is something else entirely.
Yes. Well, thank you for your congratulatory words. And I am very proud of myself because if you're just listening and you can't see me, I recently also just turned 68, which is like I'm getting close to 70. I thought to myself, this is crazy that I got a PhD when I'm 68, but it's not crazy. And this is what I want to reach out to all the other women and men as we navigate this aging societal expectation of us. There seems to be this expectation that we have a stopwatch and that at a certain age, the watch stops. And so should our living and our expectations and our reaching and our enjoyment and our energy. That perception has got to go because the only thing that slows you down is the lack of energy, the lack of health, the lack of joy in living. I got into this whole algae game just serendipitously. I'm actually Canadian. I've lived in Boston, however, for 35 years, but I mentioned Canada because I still have my two sisters up there and I'm very close to them. And 15 years ago, my younger sister developed breast cancer and her oncologist told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet. They didn't tell her why it was particularly good for her as she was preparing for chemo. So my baby sister called me because I'm a good researcher even then. And I said, I have no idea. I was doing international business. I also have an MBA, but I'm a good researcher and I loved my sister. I said, I will find out what this alkaline diet thing is. And I did. It turned out to be a plant-based diet because of the chlorophyll and the phytonutrients that have been proven to build your immune system. And also, it turns out there's a German scientist by the name of Otto Warburg who back in the 40s won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cannot exist in cells that are slightly alkaline. Anyway, so I did some research for her. She did change her diet. She did go through chemo. She completely healed and we celebrate her being cancer-free every year. Happy day for that, for her and for us and for the world. But in the process, I started learning about alkaline foods and plant-based nutrition. And this was 15 years ago. Nobody was talking about it. I thought this was powerful. The science was convincing. So I gave up my corporate career to learn more about it, got a health coaching certificate from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And then I taught plant-based nutrition to people at hospitals and corporations, which led me to algae because I found out everybody finds vegetables. They know they should eat them, but too much work or gives them gas or their kids won't eat them or they're too messy or blah, blah, blah. I went back to the drawing board, did a deeper dive into the things that were alkaline and found algae were the most alkaline, nutrient-dense food in the world. Then I found out that it came in tiny tablets that you could swallow or chew, and each tablet had the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. And it's been endorsed by the United Nations and NASA for 50 years. It's a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia. It's the 100,000 studies documenting all its efficacy. I decided I would devote my life to algae, but I certainly wasn't looking for algae. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. But I had to teach myself the science because there's so much science about algae and 100,000 studies is a big number. I hunkered down and for 15 years basically taught myself science, biochemistry, cell biology, plant biology, metabolic energy, health, mitochondrial health, but I didn't have any regimented scientific education. And I was lecturing at conferences. Some places wouldn't let me speak because I didn't have an MD or a PhD. About 3 years ago, I thought, okay, then I'll get one. I'm also an entrepreneur. And so entrepreneurs, like, here's the thing, ladies, we are all entrepreneurs of our own lives. We choose the destiny, the journey, the pace. Everything is up to us. Everything. I kept saying to myself, well, it was probably age inappropriate to start my company when I did, because I was 51 when I started the company. I started it all by myself. I still own the entire company. I took no outside investors, but 51. I mean, 50 is when we're supposed to start slowing down, winding down, and stop reaching, right? That's what the world tells us. Telling you, don't listen to that because that's garbage. You reach for whatever feels right. And even if it doesn't maybe necessarily feel, well, I shouldn't say feels right, because there was no reason for me to start this company. I had no science background. I had no money. I knew nothing about nutrition or the body, but this little voice inside me kept telling me, you can do this. And I thought, okay, maybe universe, maybe, I don't know. Can't you pick somebody else, universe? No, it was not going to let me go. I just thought, okay, I'm going to listen to this little voice because I've been trying to listen to the big voices outside of me, society, corporations, educational institutions, my family telling me what I was supposed to do. And I did it for a very long time, was very unhappy and just felt there was something more. I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something I was supposed to do. I just turned myself over to the universe and decided, okay, I'm going to let you drive for a change. And your little voice is your soul. It will never shout. Your ego shouts, your soul does not. It just whispers, and it's up to us to listen to it. But 51, there I did. I listened to my voice. I started a company all by myself with no education in my area, no expertise in my area, but I did it. Fast forward 15 years later, we're now a very big company. And in the process, I started hitting some roadblocks about where people would or would not allow me to speak. And I thought, okay, then I'll do what's next. And I researched schools, and I got one that would give me some credit for my MBA and my 14 years of research. I didn't have to write a thesis. I had to write all the exams. I had to study for a year, and I passed the exams and got my PhD the first week of September. But at 68, right? And I'm just going where it feels right. This is my joy, knowing I have something, I have knowledge, I have something that can help the world. It's been proven scientifically, it's been proven in other countries, it's been proven for thousands of years by other indigenous peoples who have been using spirulina and chlorella for centuries. And my challenge is to help make it easy for you to understand, easy to take, and help you pass through whatever health issue you're having. Women, we have menopause, perimenopause. Men don't experience these issues that we have of weight gain, brain fog, reduced fatigue, reduced sleep, and I'm going to address all of those issues because algae will help you with all of them. But my biggest message is you're in the driver's seat. You are the entrepreneur of your own life, and you call the shots. You set the rules, and we need to do that more often. And whatever feels right to you and natural and brings you joy is what you should do at any age. Look at Elon Musk's mother. I'm blanking on her name, but she's 70-ish, 75-ish, and she became a fashion model, face of MAC when she turned 70. She's been on the front cover of Swimsuit magazine. And there are, all of us can break through these expectations because somebody set them, but they weren't set by you. You should only listen to you. And your body speaks to you, and we need to listen to it because it has the truth. The truth, again, is quiet and it whispers, but it will guide you. We just have to learn to listen to it and turn down the noise that's outside of us, because that's what it is noise.
I love that journey. One, that first part of kind of what got you into alkaline foods was your sister, and you're wanting to help your sister. And then having what I call kind of a reckoning moment where you really kind of look at yourself and you see yourself and you think, like, a lot of what I've done up until now has been other people's expectations or other people's, like, what other people had told me I needed to do. And then you just had this defining moment that you were like, no, I'm being called to something else. I'm being called to something bigger. There's a why bigger than me. And I am going to pursue this despite probably advice not to, or that a lot of things.
My family thought I was, crazy. My friends abandoned me because I had no money. I mean, literally the only food I could afford, literally for about 4 years, were eggs and algae. Of course, I didn't have to pay for my algae, but I literally lived on those for 2 years. But somehow I knew I had been, as you said, called, and I was not going to let the universe down. I felt such a responsibility because I know I am smart, and I do have the creative capability to communicate things that are very complicated in ways that are very easy to understand. Because the problem we find ourselves in is the medical community knows nothing about, the traditional medical community knows virtually nothing about nutrition. And scientists who are deep in their PhDs, probably have multiples, they can't communicate their scientific findings to consumers because they speak in jargon and they're used to speaking to each other, and they write these complicated papers that I had to teach myself how to read them. You can find on PubMed, but your average consumer will not teach themselves all these complicated terms. It turns out the universe was right. I have this communication skill set. I have this passion to help others. I always have. I have the quote PhD certification that will now not hold me back.
You got the letters.
I just want to get my knowledge out. And in fact, I recently wrote a little booklet going to this big science show 2 weeks in Vegas called the A4M show. It's for functional medicine people who will understand the science. But someone said, you got to tell a story, because there's so much science about algae. And I was devoted to learn the science because I felt was my weakest link. But the irony is people want a story. And so I wrote this mini booklet called The Algae Love Story, about how algae is the greatest undiscovered love story. I started the company because of my love for my sister. But when you think about what love does for you, it makes you feel alive. It makes you feel whole. It makes you feel nourished. It makes you feel energized, complete. And that's what algae does for you. It fills all of those gaps. It never lets you down. It's always there for you. It's effortless. I wrote this little booklet with some poignant notes about it. And my goal is to help spread the word of why algae is the greatest love story in the world. And it started with my love, and it will end and it continues with my love for women and helping them get through, because we all know women carry extra loads. We do the jobs, we birth the children, we manage the children, we manage our households, and yet we have issues that men don't have. We have smaller bones, so we suffer from osteoporosis. We have more hormones. We suffer from more depression than men do. We have more brain fog. We have more weight gain in many cases because of our metabolism slows down. We need more sleep. Women have different issues, and I'm here to help you get through your issues with something that Mother Nature, another woman, created for us. I can't take credit for algae. It's Mother Nature's invention. I will take credit for growing it so safely and carefully that we preserve all the nutrients so that you get the maximum benefit. We need to give ourselves more credit, more time, and listen to our own voice that will take us to places that we probably never, ever thought we would go. When you look back in retrospect, you realize everything followed a pattern that was whole and natural.
I'm curious, Catherine, honey, one of the questions I have, like I remember doing a lot of research, and nowhere near the amount of research, but on algae when I was taking cell biology and plant biology, but particularly in 2009, when I was researching, I wrote my first book was on antioxidants and like the highest antioxidant rich foods. I was researching the ORAC scale. And this was around the time that you were researching this around for your sister. I thought, how interesting, but I was really deeply into alkalizing foods. And I'm curious, like what are one of the most fascinating pieces of research that you have found on algae that just really floored you, that maybe kind of gripped you back then?
Well, there's a couple, because first of all, algae was the first life on Earth, not just the first plant, but the first life. And that was almost 4 billion years ago. And it was called a cyanobacteria. So it was a bacteria. Like spirulina, we call ours energy bits, is a bacteria. It's not even a plant. And we can talk about the importance of that because it gets absorbed quickly because there's no cellulose wall. First of all, floored me that cyanobacteria was the first life on Earth. And we'll talk about this later on. Your mitochondria, which are the little they're called organelles in all of your cells that generate what's called cellular energy, also known as ATP. This cellular energy is literally the electricity that fuels your body, your brain, your mind, your metabolism, your heartbeat, your lymphatic system, everything requires cellular energy. So your mitochondria are the most important thing to determine your health. Absolutely the number one. A number two thing that floored me, and this is all proven in science, is that your mitochondria evolved directly from cyanobacteria, like spirulina. This is one of the reasons why spirulina is so powerful for your health and getting you through all perimenopause, menopause, and any other health issues, because all the nutrients that are in it can get into the mitochondria, which many antioxidants, as you mentioned, like vitamin E and vitamin C cannot. First life on Earth, your mitochondria, which determine your health, came from cyanobacteria. By the way, I now call spirulina spiritualina because there's something spiritual about being the first life on Earth, is what it is. The third thing that floored me, and again, it refers to spirulina. There are two algae we'll talk about. Spirulina, which is you find is very nourishing and builds your mitochondria and your brain, because your brain has the most mitochondria in your body, 2 million cell mitochondria per cell. Chlorella is the other algae, which is detoxing and builds your immune system. But spirulina has two nutrients, one that isn't found anywhere else in the world, and one that is only found also in chlorella. And both of these nutrients are critical for your health and particularly your mitochondria. What are those two nutrients? Well, spirulina is called a blue-green algae because it has two pigments in it. The green pigment you're familiar with, which is chlorophyll. And chlorella, which is the other algae, only has one pigment. That's why it's called a green algae. And that pigment is chlorophyll. But back to spirulina, it has two pigments, the green one, chlorophyll, and the blue one, which is called phycocyanin, which I'm sure you've never heard of before. And I'm going to spell it for you. Write this down because I want you to Google it. It's spelled Phycocyanin. And why do I want you to know about this blue pigment? And that floored me when I read all the science. So this is all proven in science. It kills cancer cells. Also kills something called senescent cells, which are cells that have subdivided so often that they can't do anything anymore and they just hang around and they're inflammatory and they make you age. Crazy, right? Naturally, it kills cancer cells. And I'm just going to show you, this is a test that was done, scientific paper. They took cancer cells, dyed them purple, put phycocyanin in the petri dish. 24 hours later, the cancer cells were basically all gone. Went from there to there. Proven. And in fact, the chemotherapy companies use phycocyanin from spirulina in their chemotherapy treatments to kill cancer cells. That's pretty powerful stuff. And nobody has talked about that. And yet it's proven in science. So now that you know how to spell phycocyanin, you can Google phycocyanin and cancer treatments. I've been told that Google's taking down some of these scientific papers. We're saving them, so we'll put them on our website. This phycocyanin doesn't exist anywhere else in any food in the world, in the universe, period. Only in spirulina. But here's the trick. Phycocyanin is deactivated by high heat. You can either get raw or fresh spirulina like they use at places like the Hippocrates Institute, and they take cancer patients who are very, very sick, and the first thing they do is they give them raw, fresh spirulina, and I believe part of it's because of that phycocyanin. You can either get raw, fresh spirulina or ours, because we don't use high heat to dry it. Almost all the other algae companies do because they're lower priced and they need to get to market quickly. As long as you're getting raw spirulina, ours is raw or fresh, you're giving your body the ability to kill cancer cells. And we all have cancer cells in us at all times, but if your immune system is strong enough, it can keep it back. If your cells are slightly alkaline, you can keep the cancer cells out. So this is why the alkaline diet is also really important. But who knew that here we've got something that's natural, proven to have this capability, and nobody wants to tell you about it. So that was pretty powerful news for me. The other floor jaw-dropping, gobsmacking, as we like to say in Canada, thing I learned about spirulina, and to a lesser degree chlorella, but mostly spirulina, is that it has a nutrient in it, an antioxidant, that's called superoxide dismutase. I'm sorry that there's all these long words you've probably never heard of before, but it's also known as SOD, superoxide dismutase. Now, what's so important about superoxide dismutase? Well, it's an antioxidant. And if you know anything about antioxidants, they're very important because you have these things called free radicals, which are very damaging to your tissues and to your molecules. And that process I talked about earlier about generating cellular energy generates ATP. A byproduct is free radicals. And this is occurring in the mitochondria. This ATP generation is all done in the mitochondria. And so you get all these free radicals being produced, and there's a very damaging particular type of free radical in the mitochondria called superoxide. Why is it so damaging? Normally, a free radical has one unpaired electron, and since nature likes things in balance, what will happen is that that molecule will steal an electron from a neighboring molecule to balance itself out, which causes damage. And so now you have another unbalanced molecule, which just steal another electron, and this is how damage continues. Antioxidants, however, they're like the kid who brought extra lunches lunches to school to give everybody who didn't have a lunch somethings. Antioxidants have extra electrons that they donate to the free radicals to calm them down so they don't cause any tissue damage. The problem is with this very damaging free radical called superoxide, it has 3 unpaired electrons. It's only in the mitochondria, but so it's 3 times as damaging. And they're so you need to really neutralize those free radicals. You don't get damaged mitochondria. Well, the mitochondria have 2 membranes. All your other cells have 1, but your mitochondria have 2. Why? Because the first membrane is left over from the days when it was its own little molecule, its own little cyanobacteria, and then it got absorbed by a larger molecule and put a cell membrane around it. But that inner membrane is still there. And most antioxidants like vitamin E and vitamin C can't get in there. But this one antioxidant, there's a few, but one of them in particular is called superoxide dismutase. It can get into that inner membrane and stop the free radicals. Now, the good news is your body makes this stuff, just like it makes melatonin, it makes hormones, your body makes tons of things because Mother Nature's so clever. But the problem is, once you hit 30, a lot of these things start dropping. And by the time you're 40, you have virtually no melatonin, which is why you're having a hard time sleeping when you get into perimenopause, menopause. Your hormones start dropping, which is why you're having weight gain and brain fog and a lot of other issues. It also stopped creating this superoxide dismutase. And the analogy I make to help you understand how important this superoxide dismutase is, when you're creating this cellular energy, there's that byproduct of free radicals. It's happening all the time.
Every day.
But
it's
every day, every
required
nanosecond.
to make energy.
Yes,
that's going to be the
'cause
result of energy being made in your mitochondria.
Yeah, you don't want to drop your ATPs, but you don't want those free radicals to damage the mitochondria. Think of superoxide dismutase as a big golf umbrella. If you've ever been out in a big rainstorm and you have one of those big golf umbrellas, you're protected. You're laughing. You can get your whole family under that golf umbrella. That's what superoxide dismutase does for you from the moment you're born. But when you hit 30, that big golf umbrella is about now the size of a totes umbrella, a city umbrella, and you're getting a few little raindrops on your shoulders. You certainly can't get your family under there. And then by the time you're 40, that little totes umbrella is about the size of a cocktail umbrella, useless. Now, your mitochondria had been protected from the free radicals, which never stopped. Now they are exposed. They're getting damaged, they're dying, and when they die, they generate less cellular energy, and when they get mutated, they send wrong signals. This is what's causing your body to go into these health issues like weight gain, depression, brain fog, lack of energy. And the answer is to get your mitochondria working again, bring them back to life. I make the comparison of your mitochondria to lights in an office. You can't do any work in an office if you don't have any light bulbs. Well, your body can't function if it doesn't have mitochondria. They are the lights that keep your body working. But you don't have a maintenance guy who can come and repair or replace the lights like you do in a building. So you need to repair and protect and restore your mitochondria. And the best way to do that is with this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. But it doesn't exist in any vegetables or any food, actually, in virtually zero amount. And if you take it as a supplement, there are a few supplements, but they get damaged in your stomach lining. Spirulina, at least ours, has the highest concentration of this superoxide dismutase in the universe. And because spirulina is a bacteria, so it gets absorbed almost instantly, all of this superoxide dismutase and all the other nutrients get absorbed instantly, go straight to the mitochondria, protects them, neutralizes the free radicals so the mitochondria can start growing again, start generating more ATP. You have more cellular energy to get rid of the brain fog, help balance your metabolism, help you get back to sleep because everything's functioning better. Just brings you back into balance. But again, this superoxide dismutase is not only an antioxidant, but an enzyme. And enzymes are deactivated or killed by high heat. If you use the lower priced algae that has usually been dried with high heat because they have to get to market quickly, you don't get this benefit. We don't, again, use high heat. Our superoxide dismutase is alive and well, can get to work. We even did a small clinical trial this summer with a company called MeScreen. They've developed blood tests to test the health of your mitochondria. So we gave people 30 days just spirulina, and we did a test before, did a test after 7 days, and a test after 30 days. And even after 7 days of just taking spirulina, they changed nothing else. The doctor who oversaw the study, his name is Dr. Hemal Patel. He does all of Dr. Joe Dispenza's brain work. He is out of the University of Southern California, San Diego
he's
campus.
Right here. Yeah.
He said, the only time we've seen this kind of dramatic change is after we did another clinical trial where people were doing intermittent fasting for 90 days. And after 90 days, they started to see some mitochondrial function improved because of the autophagy and apoptosis, which is autophagy is cleaning of the cell. Apoptosis is the natural death when your cells are say goodbye and retire. But people were getting the same results after 7 days of the spirulina compared to 90 days of intermittent fasting. So that was pretty powerful stuff. And they did nothing else except take the spirulina. Again, to have something that's natural, and by the way, spirulina tablets, Spirulina and Chlorella, any of the algae tablets, they're not even a supplement. Supplements are made from extract or synthetics, and they're made in factories. Algae is a food. It's grown in, it does exist everywhere in the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, but we grow ours in freshwater farms. Here's a spirulina farm and here's a chlorella farm. Fresh water. You aren't taking a supplement. You are feeding your body. You're giving your body nourishment from a whole food, a whole raw food. And there are no contraindications for spirulina or chlorella. And you can give it to your newborns, your kids, your teenagers, your grandparents, your pets, and it's just food. But no one's explained some of these nutrients. By the way, there's 25,000 studies confirming that superoxide dismutase, that antioxidant SOD, 25,000 studies confirming that it prevents Alzheimer's, heart disease, inflammation. 25,000. You can't, but the scientists don't know that you can get this antioxidant in spirulina if it's a raw food. So I'm on this big discovery journey. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. You do that too. I feel like I've got Einstein on my hands. So I'm very eager, particularly as a fellow female who's navigated her way. I had to navigate my way through perimenopause and menopause before I discovered algae. But I've had so many people tell us how much this has helped them with everything, whether it's sleep, weight gain, brain fog, mood changes, skin improvements, digestion, hormonals. Everything is controlled by mitochondria. So if we can get those mitochondria feeling pretty good, I tell people I never eat alone. I always eat with my mitochondria.
I love that. And I mean, and this my community wholeheartedly knows that mitochondria is really the epicenter of aliveness and good energy in the body. Like it starts there. Like if that's not dialed, I always say that how we diagnose metabolic dysfunction is when mitochondria are at or below 50% of their capacity. They're, due to oxidative stress or due to toxins or whatever that may be going on due to metabolic burden. And that's when we start to see those metabolic biomarkers go out of range. So cholesterol, HDL, fasting glucose, high blood pressure, all of that. And that's where we start to diagnose metabolic dysfunction. And it all is centered around your mitochondrial capacity.
Absolutely. Now there's a couple other sort of interventions that are also natural that will elevate the improvements you get from algae. And I'll just mention a few of them. And I did already sort of mention one, intermittent fasting. When you are doing intermittent fasting, you're shortening the window of eating. What does that do? Well, it takes the digestive load. First of all, your digestion requires 15% of your energy. So when you're not eating, you're not digesting. So you can redirect that energy to other parts of your body. And the other thing you need to know is just like vitamin C, you can't store ATP. It can't be stored. No. Whatever you make, it's used in that moment. That's why when you take spirulina before a workout, you will have the best workout of your life. The best run, yoga, weightlifting. You'll have more energy, more strength, more endurance. On the other hand, if you take spirulina and you decide to just read a book, your focus will be improved because your ATP isn't being directed towards a physical activity. It's being directed to a mental activity. So whatever you're doing in the moment, the ATP, because the kind of energy that, and I'll mention one more thing about that blue pigment that I mentioned earlier is phycocyanin, because spirulina is what generates energy. It's not a stimulant. We all think of energy coming from a stimulant like caffeine, chemicals, or sugar. Stimulants speed up molecules. And it's like putting paper on a fire. You get a burst and then a crash. That's not the kind of energy you get from spirulina. The kind of energy you get from spirulina is at the cellular level. It's like putting a log on the fire. It's quiet energy. You won't even notice it unless you're doing something, like I said, like a workout. You'll just feel more alert. You won't feel fatigued. You won't feel hungry, but it's quiet energy because it generates it at the cellular level. And one of the cool things that, again, this blue phycocyanin does is that in a healthy cell, well, there's this let me back up. The generation of your energy is done through something called the electron transport chain, a little geeky, and there's these molecules embedded in the mitochondria membrane. And what they do is they pass electrons from one molecule to the next. And at the end, they generate this stuff called ATP. It's sort of like a relay race. You know, when you've seen a relay race, someone's running and they pass a baton to the next runner, then that runner passes the baton to the next runner, and they hopefully win the race. So these molecules are like the runners, except instead of passing a baton, they're passing an electron. And instead of winning the race, they get ATP. Now, the only difference is that in this electron transport chain process, there's two what we call helper molecules. One is called CoQ10, but the other one I'm going to talk about is called cytochrome C. And it's sort of like having a Tesla in the middle of your relay race, because in a healthy cell, the blue phycocyanin that's in spirulina will speed up that little helper molecule called cytochrome C so that the molecules, the electrons, can be moved even faster. That's one of the reasons why spirulina generates more energy for you. Now, and I'll mention this again related to cancer. In an unhealthy cell or a cancer cell, that blue phycocyanin detects that it's a cancer cell or a senescent cell, and instead of speeding up that cytochrome C helper molecule, it ejects it. And when it ejects it, it triggers something called the capases, which triggers something called apoptosis, which kills the cell. Cancer cells are not able to kill themselves. They don't know they're sick, and normally a healthy cell will know when it's time to go, and it goes through this process called apoptosis. It's sort of like almost like popping a balloon, says I'm out of here.
It's programmed
but it's a good
cell
thing.
death. Yeah.
Yes, programmed cell death. You got it. But cancer cells can't do that. This is why they multiply so quickly and can take over stuff. So the fact that this blue pigment can tell whether your cell is healthy or not is pretty powerful stuff. That's why I call spirulina intelligent food. You have to be intelligent to take it, and it knows what to do in your body. So back to why it's so good for you. When you have more cellular energy, everything works better, whether it's your brain, your digestion, your metabolism, your hormone creation. Our bodies think we're dying at 30. Because here's the thing, we've been on Earth for 2 million years, and up until about 150, maybe 200 years ago, we died at 30. This is why when you hit 30, your body evolutionary thinks, okay, I'm out of here. Hormones start dropping.
Well, you should have had those babies already. Like by the time you're 30, you've had the babies. If you have that child, and if you become a grandparent, that child has a child, you are an evolutionary success. But most of us, up until the last couple hundred years or several, we knocked all that out by the time we were in our 30s to 40s.
Yeah. Right. So our biology has not caught up with our lifestyle, and it's not going to. Evolution takes millions of years to catch up with stuff like that. So we can't sort of whine as like, oh, I wish I had it back. It's not coming back. You need to understand, you need some hacks that will get you through these processes. And I have been taking algae, spirulina and chlorella every single day for 15 years. My mind, it works beautifully. I sleep well, I poop well, I move well. I have mostly young people working for me. They can't keep up. I mean, I friggin' did a PhD as I'm getting close to 70. I am the poster child for the kind of life that everybody should be having at any age, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'm Benjamin Button. I'm just like stuck in this age level. Everyone thinks I'm in my 40s. That's fine. And I'm not going to apologize for what they think I should be doing at my age. I'm not going to be sitting on some rocking chair. I'm going to be, out there rocking the world. And, you don't have to rock the world. If your goal is to be the best mom, I just want you to have the energy to be the best mom and the health of the best mom, the focus so that you can have your girls' nights out or do some whatever your arts and crafts, whatever it is that you want to do. Do it with joy, do it with energy, not drag yourself. And you don't need to drag yourself. That's why I want to help, but you need to know the things that will help you. And that's why I mentioned the intermittent fasting helps a bit. The spirulina really is the most effortless. If you can swallow water, we encourage you to take at least 10 spirulina tablets in the morning.
I was going to ask, what's the
chlorella at night?
So 10 of each. And do you recommend, Catherine, because I know that my ladies love the details, the nuances. These are the women that are initiating all the things. Everyone's making plans. So they're kind of, when they're looking at their supplement route, because I take the energy bits twice a day. I take them in the morning and I take them in the early afternoon. So that's what I'm doing. But I was curious in all of not only the research, but what you've seen work for, the thousands of people that are using them. We've debated. So my son's going to be 4. And I'm
Oh,
like, okay, well, how do
congratulations.
I, because he does his supplements, he does probiotics, the whole nine, does smoothies. And I have been wanting to reach out to see if I could just blend them into the smoothie. So I think that'll
Oh,
be the
sure.
easiest way to do that for him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, smoothies are great. So, number one, there's 40 vitamins and minerals, the highest protein in the world, 3 times more protein than steak. This is why the United Nations has endorsed spirulina as the answer to world hunger, because nothing in the world with more protein than spirulina. And it's a sustainable, eco-friendly food as well. And the United Nations, or sort of the NASA, has, we have a quote from them saying, and they feed it to the astronauts and have for 50 years. When were they going to tell us, right? It has 1,000 times more nutrition than any other fruit or vegetable. 1 to 1,000. When you are taking spirulina or chlorella, you are getting the most nutrient dense food in the world, including some nutrients that simply don't exist anywhere else. That's number one. So you can eliminate some of your other supplements like fish oil. You can probably get rid of a multivitamin, CoQ10, biotin, collagen powder. There's more collagen than in, because collagen are peptides, clusters of aminos. Spirulina and chlorella are both complete proteins, by the way. They have 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make. And they have so much of these aminos. Some of them have up to 400% more collagen than collagen powder. So I know everybody I know has a huge countertop full of all these different bottles and bags and canisters and whatever. You can get rid of a ton of them and just take algae. The numbers won't, measure up exactly to your supplements because algae is food, not a supplement. But it's not just what you take, it's what you absorb. And so many supplements are made from artificial ingredients or extracts, and so your body just doesn't know what to do with them, so they don't absorb them. So algae is 99% bioavailable. A, you'll simplify your morning routine. B, you'll probably definitely save yourself some money and some counter space. But we've said 10 tablets is kind of like a fill the nutritional gaps. I call spirulina your nutritional insurance because it has everything that your body needs for the day. And then I think you're right. Most people, because your cortisol plummets around 3, I think. That's a natural cycle. Taking another 10 or however many you need in the afternoon, or even you could have 30 for lunch. There's 1 calorie per tablet, 0 carbs. By the way, carbs create the most free radicals. So you want to eliminate simple carbs. The 1 calorie, 0 carbs, no lectins or oxalates, which a lot of people go carnivore because of lectins and oxalates causing stomach distress and autoimmune. So none of those, because algae start in the ocean, not sea. Now, if you have a health condition you're trying to correct, if you had cancer, don't want cancer, had heart disease, don't want heart disease, have a weight gain or any kind of health issue of any kind, I would recommend 30 spirulina a day. So you could take 15 in the morning if you want, 15 in the afternoon. You could have way more than that. It's a food. It's like you can't have too much salad. We fuel NHL teams like the Detroit Red Wings. They put 75 spirulina in their smoothie before a game because they want lots of focus and energy on the ice. And then they take 75 chlorella after a game because I haven't talked much about chlorella. I'll tell you in a bit. It pulls out toxins, heavy metals, lactic acid. So they put 75 in their smoothie afterwards. Spirulina, either one of them, you could have hundreds if you wanted. I wouldn't recommend it. Your poop will be a little green, but you could if you wanted to. 10 is plugging holes. Morning for sure, get you out the door in seconds. Have more at lunch if you want. Definitely pick it up in the afternoon. Now, chlorella is a wellness algae. Spirulina, is a nourishing algae. Particularly mitochondrial health gives you energy, focus. Chlorella is a wellness detoxing algae. It does belong to the plant kingdom. It's a green algae, and it does have fiber, which is why we put a plant, or I designed it, put a plant on the package. What is important about that the hard cell wall? Well, A, the fiber feeds your gut biome, so it really helps with your stomach gut biome. The hard cell wall attaches, as I mentioned, to all heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation, aluminum, pesticides, glyphosate, anything, and pulls them out. By the way, it pulls out alcohol. Also, chlorella has the highest amount of glutathione in the world. Glutathione is another powerful antioxidant, very important for your liver, cleansing your liver. And it has the highest chlorophyll in the world. That's why it's called chlorella, because of that chlorophyll. What's so important about chlorophyll? It kills bacteria. And the cell composition of chlorophyll is virtually identical to your hemoglobin. Chlorophyll builds your blood. They're virtually identical, except none of our food has chlorophyll in it anymore. So nobody's benefiting from chlorophyll. I'm going to show you the chemical composition of chlorophyll. It's virtually identical to your hemoglobin, but your arugula goes yellow, mine does after day 3, because there's virtually no chlorophyll. Chlorella algae has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula and 25 times more than chlorophyll drops. So you can get rid of your chlorophyll drops when you take chlorella algae because it has more chlorophyll, plus you're getting all that protein, 40 vitamins and minerals. Now, we generally, again, are recommending 10 of the chlorella, which we call recovery bits, just for maintenance, for building your immune system. Chlorella also has the highest tryptophan in the world, which is a precursor to melatonin, which helps you sleep. And we generally recommend chlorella before bed. You can take it during the day, anytime. I love it during the day. I eat it actually. I eat mine with pistachio nuts or macadamia nuts. The reason why we want you to take it before bed is because when you are sleeping, that's when your body goes through a detox and repair cycle. You're getting your beauty rest. The cleanup crew is in there, pulling out toxins out of your brain, repairing your cells. It stimulates stem cell release. Chlorella also has something called chlorella growth factor, which speeds up the growth of your cells. And here's the other great thing about chlorella. It stimulates what's called peristalsis. What is peristalsis? It's a bowel movement. Nobody's talking about constipation these days, but I am. It's a big deal because if you're on medication, you're eating dairy, you're eating processed foods, you're not drinking enough water, you're not moving enough, you are probably constipated. If you're not having a bowel movement every day, you are constipated. Chlorella stimulates peristalsis. It does exactly what taking fiber does for you. If you're having problems, if you're eating too much protein, a lot of carnivores are, again, having constipation issues because they're not eating fiber. So this will remove that problem. You wake up in the morning, it's a very natural, effortless, food-based solution. And again, 10 will do it. If you want to do detox, pulling out the toxins, the metals, the alcohol, you're going to need therapeutic dosage of 30 tablets. Spirulina therapeutic amount for correcting conditions, 30. Chlorella, 30. You could have way more than that. I have way more than that. I don't tell anybody anymore how much I have because I don't want to scare anybody, but I love to eat mine. I put sea salt on them. I eat them I have a brand of pistachio nuts called Wonderful. My favorite flavor is salt and vinegar. Added to the chlorella or to the spirulina just gives it a really nice pop of flavor. Macadamia nuts, any kind of nut, trail mix. Chlorella is great for your garnish on your salad. Just put it in whatever, or you can grind, if you're putting in a smoothie, grind it up first because it won't blend well. For children, give them half of their age. So if you have a 4-year-old, as you do, give them 2 a day of spirulina. They could have plenty more. We've had children who have been raised on this stuff and they eat like 50 a day. You certainly don't need to give them that much, but they could if they wanted. Same with your pets. If they're a small pet, give them maybe 2 to 5 a day. If they're a larger dog, give them 10 or 20. The equine industry has been using spirulina and chlorella for 50 years. There's pockets of the world that know the science, but the science hasn't made its way out to you. In Asia, they know all of this. But I tell people, just like you didn't know about chia seed or matcha or kiwa or collagen powder or bone broth, maybe until about 10 years ago, even though they had been used in other countries by indigenous peoples for centuries, same with algae. I tell people it's not new, it's just new to you. I want to know the why. Why does it work? What's in it? What makes one brand or different than it? What do they do differently? How should I take them? So just like the questions that you're asking. We try to put as much of this on our website, energybits.com, but this is why I like to go on podcasts and I speak at conferences. If people want the deep, deep science, I got it for you. If you don't want the deep, deep science, I got that for you too. My job is to help you feel comfortable, and all you need to do is try it. And you'll pay attention to how your body feels. You're your own experiment. You're your own lab test. You are your own entrepreneur. You're in charge, but your mitochondria need your help because they can't put food into your mouth. Only you can. So I want you to understand a few things like algae that can help you. My other godsend is sleep.
Yep.
Sleep and algae are my 2 main cornerstones of maintaining my health and my vitality and helping you get through your menopausal, premenopausal period. You are worth it. Yes, there's other people want you. Everybody wants more of you, everybody, but you need more of you. And I think having good sleep habits and making that a priority, I make that a priority. I don't have much of a social life anymore. I haven't for 15 years, but I'm okay. And I get a couple of outings every once in a while, but man, get my sleep because that's when the repair happens. And if you're not getting your sleep, that's when you're going to continue to see some health issues.
Catherine, honey, thank you so much. I know that we also have a little discount code. We have 20% off, and I'll have that in the show notes. But I
Yes.
love all the information that you provide too, not only on the website, but also when you get them so that you have, and if you're going to get, I highly recommend them. We are using them. My husband and I are using them. I've been wanting to ask Catherine about integrating them for my son, Kingston. So I'm a full body yes. And I love all the information that you guys provide so that we really understand the why. Like I can see that built into the brand, which I think is wonderful. And you
Yeah.
really are a testament of of the product for sure.
Well, there's other lots of people who are out there doing things, but those messages and those people aren't getting the visibility in the media. It's a lot of clickbait stuff. But honestly, and that's why I really love what I do, is because this is something that has been provided to us since the beginning of time. And the science has been there, but no one's lifted the hood and pulled it out and explained it to you in a way that you can understand. I designed all the packaging and I designed it to be beautiful and comforting and energizing, because I can't help you if I can't get the algae into your body. Right. I'm very proud of all the designs that I did. And they come in little pouches for travel. So put these in your handbag, your gym bag, your travel bag. There's 30 tablets per pouch. I don't have any right here, but they come in gorgeous canisters for having them on your countertop. Each canister comes with a small bag, and then you just open the bag, put the tablets into the canister, and the top has a little opening. So you just shake the tablets out into your hand. So you don't have to stick your hand into get green dust. If you have a family, the kids are out playing in the soccer field, they put their hand in the bag and there's dirt and stuff. You don't want that so you buy a canister once, and it will last you a year or two, and just refill it with the tablets afterwards. And the key for me was I've seen the science about the plant-based nutrition. There's nothing more concentrated than algae in the world, but I've also seen how difficult it is for people to get the plant-based nutrition and the vegetables because of shortage of time, children's or husbands or boyfriends' palates. They take time to clean, to cook, to eat. So this is a solution. Spirulina is your nutritional insurance. Chlorella, I call your health insurance. And think of spirulina as brain food because your brain has the most mitochondria per cell. So as soon as you start taking spirulina, your mitochondria are waking back up and we're turning the lights back on. So the first thing that comes back is the brain fog. The brain fog goes away and the lights come back on. And then chlorella, which has the fiber, kills the bacteria, pulls out the toxins and heals your gut. That's a gut health issue. So brain health, gut health. And those are the two things that as women, we're struggling with so much, because we can get your gut working better, then it'll be easier for you to absorb nutrition, easier to get your metabolism back on track. And if we get your mitochondria working again, your brain will work, the depression will go away, and everything just will function better. Because, and one more thing, just cheering for the ladies here, let's face it, most of us work in the back. We don't get a lot of credit. We do all the extra work. We're making things happen. Well, in our bodies, our DNA, as we know, half of the DNA come from the male and half from the female. And so it's a blend. But the mitochondria, where all the action is, where all the energy for your life exists, guess what? That DNA comes only from the women. So here we again have something so powerful that determines everything to do with our life is working behind the scenes, and it all came from the female. Ladies, we deserve good health, good energy. Listen to those quiet voices inside. Be the entrepreneur, the driver of your own life. Yes, some people will not be happy with you for a while, but they'll get used to it, and you will live better, longer, healthier, and have an easier process as you go through perimenopause and menopause and into later years. And so 10 years and 20 years, you'll look back and go, man, I don't know how I could have done it without algae, because that's how I feel. It's the greatest love story of my life, and I want it to be your love story too.
Oh, honey, thank you so much, Catherine. I love that. Yes, I love your
I
message.
forgot to mention, you got to go to
Oh,
energybits.com
yes.
and
And
use the code Dr. Mariza, all one word, for your 20% off. It works on everything, so no rush. It'll
perfect.
work forever. So yeah, get
And
so
I'll
caught
have
up
it.
in my own story,
Oh,
right?
I love it. So yeah, energybiz.com, code Dr. Mariza, that's DrMariza. And I will have the links and everything inside of the show notes. Catherine, honey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. And I'm so glad to have been here. Thank you for your sharing.
Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you are ready to learn more about perimenopause and how to navigate with a lot of ease and grace, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can join our community. Don't forget to share this video with someone that you love, that you know is navigating the perimenopause journey as well, because they deserve to feel their best too. See you in the next video.